Mauricio, how's it going?
Power on. Bluetooth pairing. Bluetooth connected. Memorial Day savings start now at the Home Depot. So whether you're working on a getaway just for you or a space to celebrate with friends, find everything to make it your place with savings from the Home Depot.
I'm not actually watching anything. I'm just listening to music from YouTube. Hey, Jim, what's up? Discouraged Comics, you're glad you found my channel? Well, thank you. I really, really appreciate that. I'll never get tired of hearing that because I just started it on a random whim one day and didn't think anybody would give a shit, so I was just doing it to entertain myself, but it certainly worked out. You read Savage Dragon. You had never read it before? I guess, obviously, that's what you're saying. If that's the case, I'm glad to hear, because as you can tell by my enthusiasm when I review them, to me it's just such an entertaining comic. Yeah, I think Dragon's great. If you like good superhero comics, everyone's opinions varies, of course, but like Mauricio says, there is good until it wasn't. But that's anything, right? That's anything and everything. Um, but yeah, Eric Larson took it off into a direction that I didn't care for eventually. But while he was rocking it, it was my favorite comic book for years.
Walking my dog is crazy. Luckily, mealtime doesn't have to be chaos.
The Honest Kitchen makes homemade food easy, and they're made with human-grade ingredients.
No.
Creech, that's not one I ever saw. Isn't that the Capullo book? Because he's drawing a new series on it. He's sharing. If I'm remembering Creech correctly, he's doing a new series. Nate, my dude, what's up, friend? Yeah, Greg is returning to Creech and Zinker. Yeah, I remember that. So yeah, he's just inking it himself. I think he's doing digital inks and stuff like that. And the thing I'm looking forward to Capullo the most, as I heard correctly, is they're going to release an all pencil version of that new Wolverine series that he did. And that I can't wait for, just to get all those books in just the raw pencil form. It's so inspiring. If I can get my hands on that, that stuff will sit next to my drawing table forever. Johnny 16, yeah, the Sinister Six storyline and Spider-Man by Larson was pretty epic. Yeah, I just recently finished reviewing that one. Lots of fun.
It's here. Winter Big Memorial Day clearance is on now. Right now through May 27th, stock winter clearance for up to 7.
I love that Capullo at least wants to draw comics. Seems like his heart's really in it. I mean, like I've talked about before, a lot of artists just give it up because they could go find better money elsewhere, and I'm sure Capullo commands a hell of a rate, but it seems to me like he wants to draw comics. Oh yeah, Discouraged Comics. I do read every comment. I just can't answer all of them. I try to answer all the ones that ask a question, but sometimes, like, I see the question when I'm like at work or something, and then I kind of forget because I get like 150 comments a week. So if you break that down per day, you know, it's just hard to keep up. I do not have much Shadowhawk because when it was coming out, I never could find it. And then when I could find it, I didn't care for the art. I like Valentino as a person in terms of the comics world, but I don't think his art looked very good. He's lucky he got dragged into Image Comics, man. So I don't have much. There's one or two things on my channel. If you do a search for Shadowhawk on my channel, you should find the things I have. think the Shadowhawk character had potential, but it just never really got there. I don't feel like I think the problem is that Valentino created a concept that's extremely dark and violent, and Valentino's sensibilities don't really work that way. He likes good-natured kind of classic superhero stuff, and I just think that the idea and the concept of Shadowhawk, it needs to be taken to like its fullest extreme. And I mean, I'm not trying to speak for the guy, I don't know anything about him, but I just don't think that he had it in him to do that character true justice, and his artwork was not the one to take it there. I put Jay Lee on it, or Mark Texeira, something like that, and let those guys just go absolutely bonkers and make it dark and violent. Shadowhawks out there snapping spines and fingers and ripping people's balls off and stuffing them up their asses.
Direct retail deodorant is wax-free and goes on clear. Wax deodorant gets stuck in your skin. Direct glides on for instant sweat.
King of the alleyways, right? Spawn. Oh my god. So boring. I'll always maintain that Spawn is a fine idea, but I think he only works in the short term. 30 years and 300 issues? Boy, I could not care less. See, Mauricio, I never saw Capullo as a Jim Lee clone, honestly. Just in my opinion. Yeah, I never saw that. I never saw a Jim Lee clone, but he definitely evolved. Discouraged Comics, who's my art inspirations. You've always been influenced by Jim, Finch, and McFarlane. Those guys are always in there, but if I had to list my favorites, to no one's surprise, it would be Mark Silvestri, Adam Hughes, obviously Jim Lee, Mike Mignola, Matt Wagner. God, I could just go on forever, but I think my primary influence in terms of if I could draw the way that I like to draw, if I could draw like the closest to way I do draw, it'd have to be Silvestri. He's just got everything that I want to see in comic art. Yeah, Discouraged Comics, exactly the same for me. His female bodies is, yeah, totally. But it's a really good observation. You can't replicate his use of negative space in like the folds of cloths. I know exactly what you're talking about. He does that stuff so well. I never could think of the right word to use, but his use of negative space. He does it in like folds of cloth, like you said, debris and rubble on the ground. It's incredible and it's so good. And I've tried to replicate it, just failing everywhere. I have heard of the artist Rob Haynes. It's a familiar name, but I can't think of what that person does. Yeah, I kind of want to get that G.I. Joe book that Liefeld did, that Snake Eyes Dead Game, I think it was called. The most interesting part is them having, he had a bunch of inkers do a bunch of the pages. One of the best looking ones was Neil Adams inked a big double page spread of Liefeld, and Neil Adams like ran over Liefeld's pencils in a big way, but it still had that weird Liefeld energy, but with the Neil Adams finish on it, and it actually worked really well in terms of that page. I kind of want to see if I can find that just to, review that on the channel. Like Ryan Otley, who drew Invincible, he did a page. Of course, the Kayfabe guys, like was mentioned. I want to say Whilce Portacio did inked a page in there too, I think. Yeah, Johnny. Yeah, I wanna find it. It's on my to find list, of course. If I can get my hands on it, I will. Ryan Otley's he's a pretty awesome dude. I've mentioned on my channel a couple times that I did meet him way back when he first started drawing Invincible. He was brand new. I looked him up and discovered that he lived here in Utah, where I'm at. So I emailed him and asked him if I could come meet him. And he's like, "Sure, here's my address. Come visit me." So I went and met the guy, and he just lived in a humble little apartment with his wife at the time, and had a drawing table right there in the living room, and showed me, Invincible pages he was working on. And this is before Invincible really, really took off. It was early in his run, but he was a nice dude, and he's remembered me ever since. Yeah, it's a weird thing to like just write a guy and be like, "Hey, I live in Utah like you. I'm a big fan of comics." I'm like, "This might be weird, but is it possible for me to meet you?" And he was like, "Yeah, come to my house." It was so weird. I would never ask that of anybody these days, and I'm sure he would never say yes again. But, it was fine. I just kind of went and met him and said hi and how you doing, and brought some of my god-awful artwork to show him. So embarrassing. I could see the look in his eyes kind of glaze over when he saw my crappy stuff. But he's really nice about it and gave me some pointers, and, neat guy. Neat dude. Ready? Yeah, you want to look at more of Otley's work, but you don't want to spoil Invincible. I applaud a person for being able to resist spoilers. I can't fucking resist. If I can find out what's going to happen, I'll look it up. And the Invincible comic, in my opinion, is very, very worth it. You once colored a pit sketch. All he did as a color practice, and he didn't seem pleased. Uh-oh. Yeah, I'd love to go to the McFarlane Spawn office and just go in there and see his stuff. That'd be awesome. Discouraged comics? No, I don't. If your goal is to draw for Marvel Comics, for example, there's no industry for it like it used to be. Obviously, there's going to be people drawing for the big companies, but unless you're the absolute cream of the crop, top of the line, they just don't have room to like fit in new people and give them tryouts, because no one buys comics anymore at the level that they used to. So in my opinion, the only route to go that's worth a piss is to just make your own stuff and build your own audience, which is why you see me doing my own YouTube channel and working towards making my stuff something that people would want to pick up on their own. Basically make a brand of yourself. It's possible, but it's not like it used to be. And yeah, so yeah, you're making your own stuff, and I get it. Just yeah, it's you gotta put in so much time and effort, consistency. You gotta build an audience somehow. If you happen to be just incredibly good, good work gets noticed, but you do got to get it out there. You got to have a social media presence. You got to get it in front of people's eyes, make yourself known, and it's not easy. There's a lot of luck involved, but I think that I guess I should edit myself. If I said that I don't think there's an audience for comics, I want to say that's not entirely true, because I've seen crowdfunders, we've all seen crowdfunders go absolutely insane. There's people willing to spend money, and like the new Battle Beast comic I was talking about in my review sold 400,000 copies last I heard, probably more. So there's certainly an audience hungry for interesting work, but the trick is to get noticed, and I don't know, that's tricky. It's hard. Just finding a way to be seen. Just gotta get it out there somehow. Bribe your favorite local YouTube creator and ask him to put your book on his channel. But everything aside, for real, the step one, and I know I'm a broken record on this, so anybody who's listened to me for a long time, I know you've heard this, but for God's sake, just make the book. So many people talk about the book they're going to do, and they never make a thing. So it's like, all right, don't ask me about anything until you actually have something to show. Like, just make the work. Do the work. Have something to show that you're actually committed to the idea. Oh, shit. Nettie, I might be able to fix that right now. All right, I just posted a new Discord link on my channel here. Bruce Lee lightsaber nunchucks is one of the coolest things I've ever seen, by the way. But yeah, ready. It's on there. It's on the. I posted a fresh link. I don't know how come they expire. It doesn't make sense. Well, Discourage Comics. I mean, I don't know what to say. If you don't think people are interested, why would anybody be interested? I guess what I mean is, believe in your work. Make it available, even if it's just a digital download. And you know what? You know, you can print up small print runs from places in black and white comics that doesn't cost a lot, and make it available. I mean, if you're in a position to financially kind of make that leap, if you can, because the place that I print my comics at, it's not terribly expensive to print up like a black and white kind of standard sized comic and just make it available and get out there, and maybe you never know, you know. But I'm also not meaning to like suggest that you spend money you don't have to print up something that you don't think will move anywhere. It's just a choice you got to make. And also, Discourage Comics, if you're not sure that the art is good enough, like, here's the thing. Maybe you're not good enough to get hired by Marvel or DC or something like that. I'm not saying you are or you aren't. I'm just, like, for example. But if you have an interesting idea and a spin on a concept that no one else has done, your art doesn't have to be great. It just has to kind of work in the context of the story that you're telling. And in that kind of situation, just do it. I hope that's the kind of the main thing I could convey to people is, like, in my opinion, if you have an idea or a spin or a take or something that's unique or something you're really passionate about, just do it and don't worry about how good your art may or may not be. Just make it, and again, you'll already be way ahead of so many other people who will talk to you all day about what they're going to make. And you're like, well, I made mine. And other people will be like, oh yeah, I'm going to make mine soon. Sure. Sure you will. But yeah, you got to have a don't give a fuck attitude like was mentioned. And just put it out there. Like, unzip that thing and slap it on the table for all of us to see and let us decide if we want to run up and touch it. You might be surprised at who wants to run up and touch your shit. Yeah, words to live by. Just slap that shit out there and tell people to look right at it. Look at it. Don't act like you don't want to touch it. But if you want to, it'll cost you $3.50. Reddy, did you see? I put it on my YouTube channel. If you go to my channel and just find posts. Come on. I didn't alter anything anywhere else. I just put it on the YouTube channel. So you might have to just... It should work. If you look at the current one, yeah, it says accept invite. Okay, all right. I was like, I know I did it. Yeah, it's supposed to be like the sword is supposed to be like a fencing type sword. This is an old design of a character someone commissioned me to do 20 years ago. And I just kind of wanted to draw the character again. She's like a French, Canadian, Robin Hood-ish type bullshit character. I don't know. I just something I wanted to fart around with. But now, I haven't messed with this one in a long time. This is a sketch I did a couple of years ago, and I kind of forgot to finish. I dug it out. Yeah, the Canadian comic, those guys, especially the guy who's in charge of that, he was such a nice guy and such a good intended guy, but by God does he make the weirdest shit that just like, he's gonna die on the hill of, I'm gonna make this character with a giant maple leaf on his back, blowing in the wind, work, and like it never does. I know a guy who's an actor. He's been in a few small things, and he was on a reality TV show once. He wants to play Puck. He's a little person, and his dream is to it's like the one little person superhero, and he's been trying to get that gig forever. But I don't think it's going to work out because no one's going to give a shit about an Alpha Flight movie, considering the current state of superhero movies and Marvel comic movies. It's in a bad place. The last thing they're going to do is do an Alpha Flight movie. Discouraged comic, yeah. I know who Eric July is. I don't really fucking care about him. I appreciate that he's been successful. I haven't seen his books, but from what I have seen, I'm not interested. I don't care. I have the least amount of interest in that guy's stuff, and I'm actually kind of, I don't want to say I banned discussion of him from the channel. It's just I fucking don't care. I have nothing to say about him, and I don't even want to bring him up. But he's successful and good for him, and most of us could only hope for his level of success. So good on him. I can't read that name exactly. I don't know what that says. Eisen L. You're drawing too. That's awesome. Hope everyone's having a good time doodling. No, don't worry about that, Discouraged Comics. You didn't strike a nerve. It's not like that. It's just there was so much discussion about him at one point, I just got sick of it. I'm just oh my god. I don't want to hear about it anymore. But that's not on you. Don't worry about it. I watched somebody go through one of his comics. I'm like, God, how boring and generic is this? Why is everyone touting this as the greatest thing? It looked awful. But what can I say? He's made millions of dollars, so I'm sitting over here jerking off on my own channel trying to make my own stupid shit, and he's over there making things, being successful. So, again, good for him. HM, you have no idea what this Eric July is? If that's what you're talking about, if you put his name into a Google search bar, you will get information on him. Just a guy who kind of created his own comics and crowdfunded it to extreme success. And then for some reason he's controversial. I don't fucking care. Like, he's made more money doing this than I ever will. You underestimate me, Galvatron. Exactly. But remember, we belong to him. Yeah, see, Discouraged Comic, that's what I say. It's like, with all his ability and his influence and all that stuff, he had a big opportunity to make some really good shit. And I guess I can't talk on it because I've never read them, but I did watch some flip-throughs from some other people. I don't know about the story, but the artwork looked so boring. Like stale, and God, what is the big deal? What are people so hyped up about it for? I don't get it. Well, he doesn't draw, as I understand. He writes and hires other people, if I understand correctly. Anybody can correct me, but yeah, from what I've seen, it looks like the work of the artist, at least on whatever that primary book is. I can't remember the name of it. God, here I'm like, I don't want to talk about him, but it just keeps going. But it looked like somebody was using CGI models and then tracing them, and they look so fucking boring and lifeless. I would almost rather look at Liefeld crap that at least is him drawing it by hand than watch somebody trace a computer generated model of something that looks boring and lifeless and just terrible. I'd rather see an artist who's not technically very good, but brings an energy and excitement to it, rather than watch somebody trace computer models. Yeah, Isom, right. Yeah, that's the one. That's correct. But again, I don't know anything about him, and if he brings attention to comics and helps push the medium forward, and if there's people that love his stuff, great. Who am I to judge? I'll just judge with my pocketbook and not buy them. I'd kind of like to see somebody with that much money and influence, almost kind of like the Ninja Turtle guy back in the day, when he, as I understand it, he funded a lot of independent comic projects, almost at a loss at every turn, but he just wanted to make an opportunity with all the money he had to give other creators an opportunity. If I suddenly was a super millionaire, I'd want to do something like that. That would be on my mind, to like, let's find an opportunity to find gems out there being done that no one else knows about. Hub, what's up? Jeffrey, what's up? I've never heard of Oliver Valentine. I wasn't holding it that weird. Fucking Eric Larson does like this shit. I'm just holding the pencil sideways to lay the lead down to get some thicker, kind of chunky shapes in there. But yeah, Larson does some weird, I don't know how, and he inks that way. I don't know how he does that. That man's got some weird ways. But hey, whatever works, right? Looks like we're shipmate, Squirt. I know, Mauricio. I get you. That is an interesting take. The weirder the grip, the more interesting. How did that get worded? Oh yeah, Jaro. That was Tundra Publishing from Hell, The Crow. Yeah, where he was funding all that stuff. See, and all those are like great, memorable things. But as I understand it, they were working at a loss all the time. But when you have that much money, like when you have Ninja Turtles money, I like the idea that he just wanted to make available good comics from other people, and to his credit, hell yeah. Yeah, Orbital had the stranger, the hold, the more character in the line, that's for sure. Ready? How long have if you're asking me, how long have I been doing art seriously? I guess it depends on what you mean by seriously, because ever since I started drawing as a teenager, I've been doing it seriously, just, you know, not with any success. But in terms of drawing and doing something and having anything that resembles what might be considered success, it's only in the last year or two, honestly. Building the YouTube channel and getting a little bit of an audience and meeting some actual creative professionals and having an opportunity. I've never heard of the Soka sisters. Yeah, that name doesn't sound familiar to me at all. Mauricio, you gotta take off. Thanks, man. Soska sisters. I'm aware of Chuck Dixon. He's been around forever. I think he had a run of bad luck where didn't he do what's considered one of the most boring shit runs of X-Men in the history of ever? I don't know anything about the human being on a personal level, so I'm not talking shit on him, but I just do seem to remember. I read some of his stuff back in the day, and I can't remember any of it. I don't think anything he ever did ever stuck with me. And my co-conspirator on my books right now, Mr. Chuck Gibson, he got mistaken for Chuck Dixon several times, he said, when he was inking for Jim Lee and stuff like that back in the day. He said things like people would mistakenly just see Gibson's name and think it was Chuck Dixon, and he's like, no, I'm not the writer, I'm the inker. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Dixon did some X-Men comics, and they're widely considered to be terrible. Richard Gooden, you're getting back into free drawing. So, do you have some tips? God, it's such a broad question. It's kind of hard to know where to start. I don't know what you mean by free drawing. Like, just drawing whatever? Is that what you mean by that? If you mean that you're going to draw and you haven't drawn in a long time, I would suggest find something that you love to do and do that first, rather than trying to tackle some crazy, hard, gigantic monster piece that you're not ready to explore yet. If that makes sense. Find some subjects. If you love to draw cats, just do that. Get the pencil flowing. Get the pencil on paper. Start with something that you love so much that you're excited to do it. Don't just go like, all right, I'm going to draw a big giant spread of every Marvel character ever, and then you wish you'd killed yourself by the time you even start because you don't know what to do. Draw what you love and then get the skills going and then keep going from there. I know it inspires me every time I want to sit down and draw something and I'm kind of needing to feel inspired. I'm like, oh, who knew? I'm going to draw another naked woman. It's almost like I have an interest in that subject, and then I sit around and draw naked girls all day and night, for example. What are drawing? Takashi Yando Kudasai. So what am I doing? This thing. Jaro, you're exactly right. Comic artists fall into four main groups. Like to draw muscle dudes, like to draw hot chicks, like to draw monsters, or like to draw mechanical things. Yeah, that's fair. That's funny. This is kind of it's my own characters. You all know that I did the Masters of the Universe fan comic, but years ago when I first started getting the idea of the stories for the He-Man fan comic, I actually was like, well, I can't ever do anything with a He-Man character, so I started creating up my own universe, sort of based on a He-Man type fantasy sword and sorcery monster world, and these are like some of the big main like super villain god creatures of that comic, this alternate He-Man universe. So this center figure, the tiny guy, he is he's like a regular human-sized guy, so all these others are giant monsters. He's like from like this robotic race, simply put. This giant creature in the back, he's this like elemental god. The source of his ability is like I'm trying to think of. He's like a force of nature. Is this giant, huge crystal ball that flies into the air, and then it pulls a bunch of rocks out of the planet, a bunch of rubble, of rocks and stone and boulders to form a giant body. And he's this giant titan creature that stomps around, that's kind of like a protector of the natural world, and but kind of faceless, voiceless, force of nature. This creature right here, he's got like a human skull, but like ram horns, a human upper body, like a centaur type body. He's like a demon monster from hell. And then these guys, this is like three versions of the same kind of thing. They're supposed to kind of be like, imagine if like the stone structures on Easter Island, those big stone heads, whatever, can't remember what they're called, the Easter Island statues. But if they had like, they're like made of stone, but they're these creepy faces carved in these large cylindrical tubes. But then they extend out like these mechanical spider legs, and they've got faces on three sides. There's a face here and then two more behind them. So this cylindrical part actually kind of spins and rotates on its own as it walks around on its spider legs, and then out the bottom of it are these like dozens of like tendrils that just flop around and grab at things. And again, you can see the size of them as compared to a regular human. And these are like ancient gods of the old world brought back to life. Just these faceless stone creatures that like crawl around, but they're massive, they're huge. And then again, all these little tentacle things out the bottom grabbing at things. So yeah, this is just like the ideas I come up with of like giant monstrous creatures that are like villains or not necessarily good creatures in that alternate universe that I created. I called it, I couldn't have Masters of the Universe, but I was toying with the idea of calling it Warriors in the Wind, which probably sounds stupid, but that's the idea I came up with, and I never bothered to refine it because I never went anywhere with it. But I kind of like the ideas. Orbital hub, like the ancestral memory of a people. Yeah, I mean, I haven't like developed the concept very far. I had just a lot of broad brush things. But this is an idea that, like I said, when I first, years ago, my younger brother bought me the He-Man cartoon on DVD, and I started watching him again for the first time in years. And I was like just loving revisiting that old cartoon. And like I've said before, I started thinking how the animation was awesome, the character designs were mostly awesome, but God, were the stories dumb because they were meant for kids. So I started coming up with my own stories. And then, like I said, I knew I wasn't going to be able to do anything with these. So I started coming up with my own. But then I just decided, fuck it, I'm going to make the He-Man comic anyway. Just fuck it, why not? So these ideas with the hero and the villains and all this stuff, it's just nothing I ever did anything with, and I don't think I will, but I might fold these concepts into something else. Oh yeah, Motaro, it's kind of like that, yeah. Motaro. You better bring the heat with a title like that. You talk about the one that I come up with these guys? It's hard coming up with a good title. I actually remember I was watching the 13th Warrior years ago, and if you remember, the Vikings, they are trying to figure out what the Wendell, that creepy killer group of people that they had to fight. They had to find out information on them, so they went to this like oracle, this creepy old insane lady. And as she's sitting there talking to them in her insane ranting, she said, "Warrior," says the wind, "charlatan," says the rain. And that's, I was like, that's where I kind of come up with the idea of warriors in the wind. I've had some people tell me it's stupid. But again, because I didn't bother to try to refine it, because I'm like, I'm not going to worry about the title until I actually come up with the comic. And I just kind of moved on to other things. But it's still one of those things I kind of want to fart around with, but assets to the centaur? What do you mean, like his dick? I've drawn enough dicks in my current comic. I'm going to have people thinking that I've got a weird obsession. That being said, absolutely. Dicks are coming. Couple of bazongas couldn't hurt. See, I after I did my fan comic, goddamn, now I want to find this thing. Let me see if I can find it. I've shown it before, but I got to see if I can find like the possible future comic. I have every intention of doing it, but I got to see if I can't find. I drew up a mock like ad for it, and I'm flipping through my pages here trying to find it. Now you got me thinking about it, and I want to see it again, but where the hell? How about the page from my comic? I paid a guy to color it up, but it's Snake Mountain being visited by the Quintesson spiral ship from the Transformers movie, because these characters interacted in my fan comic. I think that colorist did such an amazing job. Yeah, if I could pay to have my book have this kind of coloring in it, but like I said, I drew 6 graphic novels that are 80 pages minimum each. Yeah, I don't have the money to pay for that. Yeah, the spiral ship, that was hard to draw because it's such an abstracty thing. But when it flies through space and just kind of spins like a giant, like a screw spiraling through space. And I thought, when I was doing that comic, just the idea of seeing a Quintesson ship hovering right next to Snake Mountain alone inspires ideas, which is what I thought of when I come up with the idea. To me, it was interesting as hell, which is why I put it in there. And then I have this colorist guy I know that he lives in the Philippines, and he doesn't ask for too much. The exchange rate is huge. And I asked him to color this up, and I really love the fire and the smoke. I said I want the bottom, the exhaust of the ship, to have like a big fiery, billowing kind of smoke. And then I wanted the colors in the background to mimic what the old cartoon looked like. And he nailed it. I thought he did so well. But anyway, I drew up this thing. If anybody, I've talked about my fan comic. Let me find it here. Now I want to dig it out. In the actual book, the Snake Mountain thing, yeah, there's the actual page in the book. That's the actual book. But I was just like, God, I would love to see it colored, so I paid a guy to do it. And you could just obviously see, the massive fucking difference. There we go. I like black and white comics, but when they're colored just right, I'm like, yeah, this colored version, especially the shiny metal. I love the contrast between the stone structure, the flowing lava, the fire, but then the shiny metal, magma, right? But as far as a future project, in my fan comic, right at the end, I set up to have all the 4 remaining characters. You have Trapjaw. I set them up because they're all former villains, and they've basically become heroes. So the text for the final page of Trapjaw says, once one of the most feared men of all of Eternia, Trapjaw's journey from notorious villain to noble hero is complete. In the years to come, he continued to be a technological innovator, upgrading his mechanical components for himself and his team. He fought by She-Ra's side, following her lead, learning from her example, backing her every step of the way. I did the same thing with Strongarm, Jitsu, and She-Ra. And then I have the last page, which is one of my favorite things that me and Chuck Gibson did. And the text says here, the 4 characters, it says, as a team, She-Ra, Trapjaw, Jitsu, and Strongarm fought together for many years and had many adventures. They became the most powerful and honored warriors in the planet's history. They were last known to be returning from an off-world conflict in which the space-time portal they were traveling in was disrupted and vanished along with the warriors themselves. Their current whereabouts are unknown, but that is a story for another time. So that's me giving an opening to do what I want to do in the future, which is take those He-Man characters and I've redesigned them so they're different. And I'm going to have them, like I said in the last page of that book, they disappeared into a portal and they ended up in an alternate universe where their physical bodies were changed. And so I made up this mock-up that says, lost in time, their memories fractured, 4 reformed criminals arrive on a strange world in a remote part of the universe. Now far from home, with no way back, they must find a way to survive a broken and defeated society engulfed in war, a population on the brink of starvation, and an overwhelming evil threatening to destroy them all, and perhaps become the heroes they were meant to be. And it's called Warriors of Eternity. And it's She-Ra, Trapjaw, Jitsu, and Strongarm, but in alternate forms where they don't look anything like the He-Man characters. And it lets me continue their adventures on another world where I can call them my own. And the idea is that this book would be a fresh start. You don't have to read the He-Man books, but if you have, you know who the characters are. So that's what I want to do, and I was actually going to jump straight into it, but then I got distracted by the Dick in a Jar, and I'm like, I just have to do this. I have to do the Dick in a Jar. And here we are. And my original idea was that I was going to have these characters end up on a planet and fill it with like alternate versions of like Rob Liefeld characters and just have my He-Man characters just slaughter the shit out of them all. Just, oh, here's a version. This guy's supposed to be Badrock, and they just kill him. And all of Youngblood, just alternate versions. Dicks in jars are very distracting, right? HM, thank you. I agree. Jitsu was a nobody, and I added character to him. And I'm like, there's nothing in the cartoon. And so the version of him in my book is like essentially a whole new character. So I kind of agree. Anyway, it's something that I'm kind of excited to do. And it's definitely on my want to do, will do. But if the Dick in the Jar crowdfunder works and people want to see more of that and it gets popular in fantasy world, I mean, I'll go that direction for a time. We'll just see what happens. But the Dick in the Jar. Native American proverb. The best time to have drawn a Dick in a Jar was 10 years ago. The second best time is now. Oh, that's wisdom. That is wisdom. That's in the scrolls of knowledge. Hub, you think that's a good formula? Would like to see many IPs. I like the idea of taking an idea that we all kind of know and then doing an alternate version of it. So if I do that, these creatures might show up in that book because they fit right in. We'll see. The weird thing is like, there's so many possibilities. It's like there's so many things I could do. It's like you have to just decide which one you're going to focus on and put a lot of time and effort into, because these things are not easy to make, nor are they quick. Because I'm getting older, I'm feeling like the mad rush to like make everything that I can while I'm still capable. Yeah, Hub, I was on carnivore for a while pretty rigidly, and I want to get back to it. I definitely am, I definitely think it's the way to go. It just kind of got old and hard to maintain. I'm like, oh my God. Not to trail off onto health and diet choices, but yeah, I agree with you, Hub. Yeah, like so many people would talk about like red meat's the worst thing for you. I'm like, man, fuck yourself. All of human civilization was nothing but meat eaters, and they were way healthier. American society is profoundly physically sick from our diet. It's ridiculous. And like all these things that they said were bad, meat, eggs, like seafood, things like that, that shit is like the best thing you can eat. Somehow this idea got, well, not somehow, it's because food manufacturers lobbied doctors and politicians to get out there and say, hey, tell your kids that a bowl of Fruit Loops is a healthy way to start a breakfast. Have some orange juice, which is a giant jug of sugar. You know, like that is not a healthy breakfast. And the whole food pyramid thing, so wrong, so wrong. It's no wonder that the instant that that food pyramid was created, that American society, if you look at pie charts, just obesity just skyrocketed, just took off. Yeah, Hub, you've been researching this stuff for 20 years. Yeah. Um, but yeah, just the idea that red meat will kill you. No, get a plate of eggs, avocado, some meat, steak, stuff like that, and just leave the sugars behind. Sugar's the worst. Right, we're not designed for these carbs and sugars. My friend went to Germany a couple years ago, and she was talking about the food that she ate there. She's like, I could just tell a difference in the food. She's like, I had more energy, I lost a little weight, and she wasn't watching what she ate. And she's very hyper conscious about her figure, but she's like, I just felt so much better eating the food in Germany because they don't have all this garbage in it. Yeah, all these diseases, like, oh, cancer rates are through the roof, and like things like um like the effect of these foods on the way that kids' brains are wired, like autism and things like that. It's like they just skyrocketed out of the blue, and it's like, where did this all come from? Why are we not looking at this? All these things just suddenly cropped up, and no one wants to be like, it's the food we eat, people. Yeah, less chemicals. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I try hard to get my kids to eat more protein, and my youngest is so picky. He'd rather starve than eat shit that he doesn't like, and it's hard because I don't want him to starve, but I also don't want him eating this garbage. So I struggle. And then my oldest, he actually understands logically. I explained to him, he's like, he gets it. But that being said, he has like the worst sugar tooth. Like my youngest boy might be picky, but he doesn't want to eat, like he never drinks anything but water. He doesn't want milk, he doesn't want sodas, he doesn't want juice, he just wants a bottle of water. I'm like, you have water all day, my son. I don't care how much you want, how many bottled waters. Like my kids mow through my bottled waters like crazy when they visit. But then I think about it, I'm like, this bottled water is not expensive, really. and they just want to drink water. They're not dying to like have me get them root beer and sodas and shit. So I count my blessings in that regard. Yeah, sugar is a drug. It 100% is. Reminds me of that episode of Simpsons where Lisa's explaining how she doesn't eat meat. And Homer's like, "You mean you won't ever eat any kind of meat from anywhere?" She's like, "No." He's like, "What about bacon?" "No." "What about ham?" "No." "What about pork chops?" And Lisa's like, "Dad, all those foods come from the same animal." He's like, "Sure, Lisa, a magical animal." I swear, Simpsons used to have some of the best writing in all of fiction ever. But yeah, sugar is just a drug, and we're all addicted to it, and a lot of people don't even know it. Yeah, no one can deny they're feeding us slop, that's for sure. Yeah, Hub, yeah, if I could get my kid to eat more protein, I'm trying. Every time I like make some bacon, I try to offer him a slice here and there, and sometimes he takes it. Here, just eat some protein. Don't ask for cookies or a granola bar. Yeah, see, Hub, I need to like I did carnivore at like 90% a while ago, and I did feel significantly. I did feel a difference, but I didn't like completely commit to it, and I just need to do it. But I felt like a bunch of fatigue that I normally feel just vanished. I would come home from work every day and need to take a nap, and that just vanished instantly. I was like, oh my god, is this that simple? And so I stuck with it. I dropped 30 pounds doing it, but then I just kind of slowly have drifted away from it. I still start my mornings very specifically with a protein. I'll take some ground beef or some steak, or I'll scramble some eggs real quick and take it with me. I feel much better when I start the day with some protein inside me and not a muffin or a bagel or a Pop-Tart or any of that garbage. I know it sounds obvious, but yeah. Yeah, only shop the edges of the grocery store. Yeah. Hey, do you guys use that chemical in yoga mats? Like, we haven't done that since 2017. What the fuck? Yeah. I need to just do it. You know, I also, about 2 months ago, I had to go in and get Roto-Rootered. They had to shove a pipe up my ass and check my intestines, so they knocked my ass out. And so I had to, like, not eat anything for 2 days before that. And I've done this before. And I swear, every time I do that, I just realize it's like once you get past the mental block that you have to eat, and if you can physically resist, like your body's initial, like telling you that it's hungry, just resist and don't eat. Those hunger desires, they go away, and you're actually fine. So I hadn't eaten anything for like 2.5, almost 3 days when I got to that doctor appointment, and they shoved a pipe up my ass. And I was telling the nurse, she's like, "How are you feeling?" I'm like, "I haven't eaten, but I'm like, I feel fine." She's like, yeah, it really is interesting. You don't, and especially because I've got a lot of extra weight on me. It's like my body's got plenty to survive off of. I'm like, I just need to like just fast for like 44 days, like Kevin James did. Scaria says a Brazilian is here. My English is not very fluent, but I wanted to interact with an American. Well, how you doing? What's up? Ugh, farted. I think Nate took off. He doesn't tend to stay around very long, but he's in Australia. He's got to go fight crocodiles or something. Or Jeffrey's around, right? Jeffrey, are you still here? Thanks, Wiley J. Good rocky texture. Yeah, he's supposed to be a giant stone creature. From Sao Paulo. That's awesome. He's spelled all right. Good ear, D-Man. I didn't think anybody would know that tune. Yeah, the CGI Beowulf. Man, that was like, it wasn't what's the word I'm looking for? They were really trying to go for something really wild. Like, they really pushed the boundaries, and it was, pretty aggressive attempt that they went for, but it didn't work. There were parts of it that worked. I didn't mind seeing Angelina Jolie's weird golden naked lizard monster body walking around. That was kind of hot. Although I wonder if she took it as an offense because they made her body in the movie better than the body that she actually had. EL, you're fudge. Excuse me. Who can identify this band, which album this is, the quickest? I forgot about this. I haven't listened to it in forever.
Perhaps you had better start from the beginning. Perhaps you had better start from the beginning. Perhaps you had better start from the beginning.
Brad, what's up, dude?
Perhaps you had better start from
Pencil for Life. What's going on, man? Well, Brad, you've really upped your game in recent years, dude. You're amazing, man. Orbital Hub, you're like, well, now it's not. Never mind. Nope, not in Mudvayne. I thought people would know this right away. Yeah, it's White Zombie. Pencil for Life, yeah, your discipline makes me jealous. I let my work take over too much. Well, part of the difference, Brad, I think, is that, you know, you're married, you've got a wife, kids, and all that type of stuff, and I don't have that, so I can just dedicate so much time to doing this. I mean, I have kids, but I don't have them full time, unfortunately, now that I'm not with my ex-wife, so, you know, I get to just, I fill my time doing this type of shit. I wish it wasn't the case, but it is, so I just, Well, if I can't be with my children, I might as well be working on my art.
For over a century, Search's Air has dared to perform. We've maximized the sales from 35 packs of groceries and created the adapt.
Your art is your first child, in a sense. Yeah, I mean, I think a universal reality and a universal truth is if you're someone that has a passion that you love to do, to get good at it, you end up sacrificing other things in your life to pursue that goal. And having, a family and kids and that type of stuff, you might, in your quest to perfect your art and your craft, you might be missing out on stuff. I was just watching this documentary on the Thunderbirds with a friend of mine last night, and they were talking about how these guys that do like the F-16 demonstration team for the Air Force, they spend almost their entire time like deployed practicing. They're like not with their family almost ever. And the guy's talking about it's hard to separate my future with my kids, but it's only for a limited time. And so, but when you want to be good at something, you want to be remembered, sometimes you give up something and you might be missing time with your kids. Yeah, your art is your first child in a sense. It could be that important to you. It is to you, honestly. It's a weapon to contribute as well to something greater than yourself. That's funny. That's the exact phrase that those the pilots used in that documentary I watched. They said that, because they're in the military, but specifically with the Air Force demonstration team, the guy who runs the group is like, I'm in service to something greater than myself. And, there's a trade-off, and it's time with his kids who are very young, but I don't know. It's hard to manage that time. But like I said, I don't even have to worry about the option because the ex-wife decided it for me. So I just, like when I first got divorced, I was such a sad, miserable piece of shit. It's the worst time in my life. I just would come in this room and sit at this table and draw until I couldn't see. Until I had to go to bed, and then I'd get up, go to work, come home, sit down at this table and just draw until I couldn't see, and went home or went to bed and got back up and went to work. And so drawing kept me sane while I was like processing the idea of like, I'm divorced, I'm on my own again. This fucking sucks. Life sucks. Everything sucks. My art kept me going. Starfish, what's up? Yeah, HM, this Skeletor, my Skeletor version, it was kind of influenced off this, but to be fair, I designed this first, and I just kind of adopted it a little bit. Yeah, Pencil for Life kids are definitely the priority. He'll be greater. Like, yeah, I know what it's like, man. You get the chance to have that little creature, and when somebody hands that little baby to you and says, this one's yours, everything changes. All right, Kevin, check you later. I've been going about 2 hours. It's about time for me to shut it down myself. I'm probably going to go do some Grand Theft Auto online and go get my ass blown away by a bunch of people before I go to bed. But 2 hours is about enough. But I did draw this tonight. And then these monster creatures, these are fun to kind of revisit. I just got to get cracking on my comic again. I've only got about 5 more pages to draw and I'll be done with that, the Dick in a Jar book. And then we'll see what happens. Anyway, guys, that's enough for me tonight. Yeah, everyone who's here, thank you for hanging out. Good conversations and fun stuff. I always enjoy these, and I'm glad that people seem to show up and find enjoyment in them as well. It's nice to kind of create a little bit of a community, you know? So, yeah, art power. Hell yeah. I like that. All right, guys, thank you so much. And I'll catch you next time.